And that whilst your purpose
that
never
you've signed up to,
changes, your
and we share together,
changes from
is
time
to
time.
be your best in all you do.
And greatness can only be measured by the difference between before you showed up and after you showed up. If I look at the number of people whose lives have been transformed by your voice, that's how we measure your greatness. So the idea is that because we were created for purpose, right? In a way, our journey starts on the day we are born, and ideally, when we are done is when we should go. But there are 4 things that you guys have to, all of us have to be able to do. Number 1 is we've got to discover purpose. In other words, we have to go and find out what was it that had been predefined from time. Since, remember, everything that concerns purpose predates you. It predates life as we know it. It predates breathing. Therefore, there is nothing that purpose needs that is connected to what you acquire here. In other words, the choice of your parents were purpose bound. And I don't know how many, but in fact, I am confident that there is someone here who, like me, had a problem with your parents, but it's not of the nature of my own, or why didn't you give birth to me? There's a person in this space who has not spoken to either your father or your mother for many years. I'm not sure who you are. I'm not asking you to tell me who you are. But I want you to understand, you wish that you could have been somebody else. You don't know. And I even suspect that it's because your father and your mom may not have been married. You know, your father probably has some other family somewhere else. And you think that in a way, at one point in time, whatever the situation was, you were at fault. I want you to know, here it is what I'm telling you here. I want you to just hear this. You were not born by accident, and nothing your parents could do or not have done could have forestalled the way you were born. Your father may not seem to have done right, but in the eyes of God, he has not been judged wrong, because the circumstances around your birth were divinely orchestrated. Now you kind of like sometimes wonder, why do I have to be the one to have been born in such inauspicious circumstances, in such, you know, in circumstances that you're not proud to even talk to your children about. But the point is, and I want you to get this, everything around your purpose, everything that predates your breathing is purpose driven. It's crafted for purpose. So because your birth or the circumstances around your birth predates your breathing, there is no other way that you could have come. So you want to find out, what was it about? Don't look at the pain of the circumstances of your birth. Understand that it was for purpose. There's a great comic superstar in Nigeria who was born out of rape, and she never was a child because she was supposed to be an accident. She grew up thinking, until she understood what I told you now, that everything that predates your breathing, it was for purpose. What you need to do is to discover that purpose. Why? The next thing you need to do is to develop yourself and all that you carry to achieve excellence in your assignment. The third thing you need to do is you need to deliver your assignment with excellence, the maximum impact. So as you develop yourself, the idea is, how do I take my game to the next level? Whatever I'm currently doing. Fela, but what if what I'm doing right now is not even what I was created to do? Yes, do it with excellence. What excellence does is excellence attracts the doorway of your purpose. And excellence is the master code. Every time, if you're doing something you're not created to do right now, but you are excellent at it, you give your best to it, the people will recognize that excellence. The people for your next assignment will come and get you. They will bring you with honor to the place of your purpose. I want you to hear that. If you are excellent in the thing you're currently doing, which may not even be your purpose. So you've got to discover. And the process of discovery is not a one-time process. Because as you discover your purpose, which if you're lucky to discover purpose first, most people don't even know purpose first until they've seen a trend of the different assignments. And yet you constantly must be aware of what's the next assignment, what's the next assignment, what's the next assignment. So you discover the next assignment. Then, now here is the interesting thing, guys. Listen to this. So the last assignment you developed yourself for until you became an expert at the last assignment, when your assignment shifts, you have to accept your new assignment with humility. You know why? Because you are going to literally have to shift from renowned expertise to conscious incompetence. And that is not easy, guys. You're going to be going from what you knew to knowing nothing, and you now need to learn. And that requires humility. And that is the greatest challenge for most people who have accomplished. Because you see, when you've become great at something and you're renowned at it and you've won awards for it and you have become a celebrity in what you used to do. Meanwhile, purpose has shifted you to the next assignment. And in that next assignment, you don't know what to do. Humility is the container of grace. Yes, it's acknowledgement of your nothingness. Acknowledgement of your nothingness. Acknowledgement of your nothingness. You must know that I am nothing except that which I am. Now, when grace shifts, it takes humility to shift with grace. It takes humility to shift with grace. And God will not leave you in your last assignment. So he will allow this grace to come so that it makes you uncomfortable. Then the last thing, guys, and this was really what got me to want to share, is you must distribute. You must distribute the experience that you have acquired along the way. You must distribute the expertise you have developed along the way. You must distribute the grace and your capacity. Because, hear me, the moment you are able to take of yourself and place on others, you have become immortal. At this point in time, you have now broken time and space, and you have led something that what is called the continuity of life. I want you to please write that down. Continuity of life. So FD is a person, but I can become an institution by taking of me and putting it on others. So if you've learned how to do something, guys, listen to this. Whatever you've learned how to do, you learned so that you could teach. You learned so you could teach. You were blessed to be a blessing. You were empowered to empower. You were enriched to enrich. You learned to teach. A candle is not lit for itself. Candles by themselves need no light. Because a candle, the light of the candle destroys the candle. So the candle must understand that the purpose of me being lit is so that I can brighten up the room. But the most effective way for me to brighten up the room is to light other candles. And as I light other candles, the room gets brighter. But I must have the humility to not want to be the only shining candle in the room. Because even though I don't lose my light, when I light other candles, I may lose my shine. See, when there's only one candle in the room, that's what everybody's looking at. When that candle multiplies other candles with its own light, when it empowers other candles with its own light, nobody looks at that one candle, but the reason why that candle was lit is now better accomplished. None of the gifts that you carry is useful in heaven. There are no sick people in heaven. Therefore, there is no gift of healing, whether it is by anointing or by medicine, that is useful in heaven. Everything that your gifts were given for was for the earth. And the only way your gifts can continue to live beyond you is for your gifts to be placed on the lives of others. If you want to survive, plant crops. If you want to succeed, plant trees. If you want to live a life of significance, a life that transcends yours, plant people. If you want to survive, plant crops. And I can explain to you, I think you understand. In other words, if you want to survive, do something for a living. Just do something that you get now. As you eat it now, it's done. Crops literally have to be destroyed every time they're consumed. Once you plant corn, and you harvest it, you must remove it from the stalk. In a sense, the moment you partake of a crop, you must destroy everything that produced that thing so that you are able to partake again. So, in a way, focus on transactions if you want to survive. If you want to succeed, plant trees. As you know, trees are the things you plant, and season by season, time upon time, they will yield fruits. That's, in a way, relationships. But if you want to live forever, plant men. Be a mentor. And the beautiful thing about mentorship is that there is something called the gap generation between your generation and your children's generation. There are people that are not old enough to be your children. Sorry, there are people that are not old enough to be your children's parents, but they're too old to be your own children. You understand what I'm saying? When you mentor them, they are called the gap generation. They will mentor your children. When you build their institutions, your children will have companies to work. You want to be immortal? Plant men. Who is because of you? Who is because of you? The more there are, the greater you are. Greatness is about the impact on others. That's how you measure greatness. Greatness is never about yourself. So I really want to thank you for what you're doing, what you decided to do, which is what I have learned, I will teach. That was what activated this flow. What I have learned, I will teach. And in doing that, we've got to learn 4 things. We must discover purpose. We must discover our gifts. We must discover ourselves, what we carry. Chadwick said there is no Chadwick Boseman without a Denzel Washington. Because of a Denzel, there was a Chadwick. He said there would have been no Black Panther without Denzel Washington. I guess I'm wondering what there is no because of you. What is it we don't yet have because you haven't invested yet? I wonder what the world is missing because of what you're keeping. I want you to write that down. I've never said that before. I wonder what the world is missing because of what you're keeping. There are certain success that are not meant to be yours. They are meant to be for the people you helped. That's where your greatness is.